ये बहुत शर्म की बात है कि मैं आपसे जो बात करूंगा अंग्रेजी में, और इसके लिए मैं फारसी को जिम्मेदारी देता हूँ। बंगाली कभी हिंदुस्तानी या उर्दू में या हिंदी में भी बात करें तो बहुत दिक्कत होगी, क्योंकि हम जेंडर तय नहीं कर पाते। और इसके वजह से ये जेंडर की जो दोष है ना, ये आप कहानी नहीं जानते। कहानी है, जब बांग्ला भाषा पहली बार सुनाई थी, इट वॉज रिकॉग्नाइज्ड बाय द फारसी कोर्ट लैंग्वेज ऑफ बंगाल। कोर्ट लैंग्वेज नहीं, कोर्ट में अदालत में देखना, मैं जो कहना चाहता हूँ कि राज्यसभा में पहली बार 1352 के बाद जब शमसुद्दीन इलियास शाह डिक्लेयर इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ बंगाल, दिल्ली सल्तनत के साथ लड़ाई शुरू कर दी। बंगाल से दिल्ली की लड़ाई बहुत पुरानी है, 600-700 साल, ये अभी नई बात नहीं है। तो तब ये बांग्ला भाषा जिसको हम कहते हैं वो नीच जाति की भाषा। ब्राह्मण लोग संस्कृत में बात करते हैं, ब्राह्मण जाति कभी बांग्ला में बात नहीं किया, 200-250 साल बात नहीं। ये नीच जात के लिए भाषा रखा, और ये भाषा इसको एनकरेज किया तुर्की शासक ने, और वो अपने आप से तुर्की भाषा को 12-14 किस्म का होता है ना, तो वो फारसी में बात करते हैं। और फारसी ने हमें 2 गिफ्ट तोहफा देते हैं। उस जमाने में फारसी में देयर वाज नो डिस्टिंक्शन इन जेंडर, है ना, वर्ब एंड जेंडर में कोई डिस्टिंक्शन नहीं है। तो वो बेचारे हम पर छोड़ दिए, हम भी नहीं करते। और दूसरी बात है, आप लोग हंसते हैं, हम लोग पानी खाते हैं, ये भी उन्हीं की वजह से। हाँ, जो फारसी जानते हैं आपको हो गए ना, उस जमाने के फारसी भाषा में, अभी भी फारसी में पीना आया कहते हैं 200 साल। इन द 14th century, 15th century, 16th century फारसी लैंग्वेज डिड नॉट हैव खाना पीना, धूम्रपान, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, वो सिर्फ कर पाओ। हाँ, वो लोग बदल गए, लेकिन हमने बदला। हम लोग अभी भी खाते हैं, हम लोग, मैं जाती हूँ, एनीवे आई विल स्पीक इन इंग्लिश, अगर आप लोग मुझे माफी करेंगे, क्योंकि मेरी ये मैं घबराता हूँ कि इतने गलती करूँ एक सेंटेंस में, आप लोग हंसेंगे ना। हाँ, तो इसलिए मैं अंग्रेजी में बात कर रहा हूँ। अगर चाहे तो कोई somebody can do the translation, if somebody can improve my हिंदुस्तानी, तो अगले बार आके मैं हिंदुस्तानी में बात करूँगा, कोशिश करूँगा। कितनी गलती की मैंने, बंगाली की हैसियत तो नेग्लिजिबल, बस वो काफी है, नोबेल प्राइज मिल जाए। अच्छा, टुडे is Maulana Azad is, I think, 133rd birthday. Yes. And it is supposed to be the National Education Day. But it's quite a tragic thing that there is no wide celebration. Okay? I am thankful to the Muslim Institute for organizing this lecture, but at the same time, as a Hindustani, as an Indian, I feel very bad that his such a great life is not being celebrated in other places. This only indicates the dark times we are passing. इसके बारे में कोई शक मत रखिए. We are passing through the worst phase in Indian history. Worst phase, one of the worst phases in Indian history, and we have to survive this. अगर इससे हम आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, nothing can stop Hindustan. So he is known as the architect of modern Indian education. आज हम I stick with this. So whenever you look at education today, the higher secondary, graduate, postgraduate, teachers training, vocational education, All these were institutionalized by one man. In other words, we had inherited a colonial education system whose sole objective was to make you feel inferior. The English language is the most superior language, English culture is the most superior culture, and therefore you are supposed to feel inferior. That's the sum and substance of the education system. So when Maulana Azad took over as education minister in 1947, before even the Constituent Assembly had passed the Constitution, he was minister from 47 to February 1958. And as the first man, he was assigned the responsibility of navigating the boat. You understand? Once you are on an ocean, you are supposed to navigate your way. And today, much of what we have in the education system, as distinct from the colonial education system, is a product of Maulana Ji's contribution. It's very surprising that the architect of modern Indian education himself was not educated in modern Indian education system. Maulana Ji was trained by his father, a very, very renowned scholar. Father died early, then by his maternal grandmother, grandfather, and many other scholars. And he was trained at home. Trained at home. It is very interesting that two of the greatest characters in Indian history never had formal education. One is Maulana Azad and the other Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore तो बात के स्कूल से, वो दूसरी बात है. I used to also think of doing the same, but कोई बात नहीं. But स्कूल कौन पसंद, क्लास कौन पसंद करता है? जो पसंद करता है दिमाग खराब है. So now this modern education system that he introduced, I have put the word navigation. So you have to find your own way. In spite of the fact that he studied at home, he was known to be a scholar at a very early age. From 12 and 13, he was composing poetry, he was writing. He showed rare genius at a very young age. And though his main subject was Islamic theology, that was the thrust of his subject, his entire life was dedicated to modern education. ये जो लोग सोचे ना, this utter contradiction between Islamic learning and education, modern education, he was the first one to prove that it is wrong. In fact, he had to fight within the community a lot. When I see so many boys and girls from the IAS, IPS and others in doctors, engineers, we are reminded of the man who had to quarrel within his own community. Quarreling within our own community is a luck, bad luck that falls on many of us. But okay, now he himself was a master in at least 7 languages. आप लोग जानते हैं? उर्दू, हिंदी, फारसी, Arabic. Arabic was the first language he learned. 4, English, Pashto and Bangla. Bangla also he learned because he was brought up in Calcutta. 7 languages without going through BA, MA, anything. Nothing, self-taught. Now, the influences upon Maulana Azad was from his early age. First was the French thinkers, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Rousseau was one of his main inspirers. Rousseau spoke of democracy. He spoke of democracy at an age when there was no democracy. But in India, not in India, but his main influence was Ibn Khaldun, of the Moroccan scholar. He, from his early age, he was studying this master only to question. He said you can be loyal but yet question. सवाल पूछना बंद मत करो एक दिन एक शाम में। ये सवाल करने का जो ट्रेडिशन है, दिस वॉज brought in by Ibn Khaldun into his life, and then he would continue. He was profoundly influenced by Sir Syed Ahmed, as you know. And Syed Ahmed is a figure that we need to respect very highly because he was the first prominent Musliman to realize that we cannot survive by staying in a separate room. What had happened during this period is very interesting. You must consider yourself, I will take for this moment, you must consider yourself in the early 19th century. Okay? Early